This is Susan Bassey, and if you follow my work, you know that I record the police, report on the courts, and what the lawyers and judges are doing inside those courts where cameras are not allowed. And on any given day, you can go down to the family courthouse and stand in this location and watch everybody jaywalking in between the civil court and the family court. Jaywalking may be a little law, but it's still a law, and it is selectively enforced.
Christiana Porter, accused of jaywalking in front of the San Francisco police car at 2nd and Geary in the Richmond district on July 29th.
This is an example of selective enforcement. This woman was jaywalking and walking across a red light in San Francisco, and eventually some bystanders recorded this arrest where the officer just starts shouting, "Stop resisting," a call to action for all these other police officers. We're paying each of them over $200,000 a year. They don't know really why they're coming. They're just coming because they've heard the call to action. And this is how the police officer justifies his actions.
Officer Josh McFall, seen here.
I didn't want it to go this way, but when people put me in that position, I don't have a choice.
Police officers always have a choice. It's called discretion. They also have immunity, and now all of these police officers who arrested a woman who was originally just jaywalking while wearing headphones are now going to have to testify in court, clog the courts, and then eventually will be facing civil rights lawsuits.
Says she's a domestic violence survivor and that the police too left her traumatized and injured with a concussion, a separated shoulder, and nerve damage.
Recording police officers is all of our responsibility, not just those of us who have social media platforms.
How are you today?
Well, yourself?
Great.
I record police officers jaywalking outside the courthouse because inside those courthouses, police officers will testify and jurors will be told that they are more credible and should be believed, and judges will protect them even when they know they're lying.
In the deposition of Bradford Baugh, would the reporter please administer the oath?
Raise your right hand, please.
Police officers and attorneys take an oath of office. They also take an oath when they testify in court.
Affirm that the testimony you're about to give and the cause now pending shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please begin.
If you're recording me and I find out, I'm going to file a criminal complaint.
I am recording. I'm telling you right now. I don't have to tell you anything.
You do not have my...
As officers of the court, attorneys are required to tell the truth in and out of court. They're also required to know the law, such as that the right to record in public is not a crime. And they're also required to know that it is illegal to threaten others with a crime, especially if what they're doing is perfectly legal activity.
You do not have my permission.
I don't need your permission on public property. Did you know that?
Private conversation.
It doesn't matter. You can have a private conversation on public property. And you have no expectation of privacy when you're in public.
And perhaps the greatest expectation of privacy that we all have is the private conversations that attorneys have with their clients. And when that doesn't work out, then anything those attorneys and clients have said might one day be an exhibit in court.
At one point in a meeting in your office, you told me that you served as a paratrooper in Vietnam.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, you did, sir. You've forgotten that?
No.
This is one of the most nefarious Silicon Valley divorce attorneys. He was known for getting appointments to represent children and for bringing a great deal of business to attorneys who were acting as private judges. And this is a deposition that he is having to sit for, where his former client, an attorney, is doing the deposition.
No.
I'm saying you jumped out of helicopters.
No.
You were a paratrooper?
Yes.
Where?
In Vietnam. 101st.
So you did serve in Vietnam?
Oh, yeah.
Without the right question, you don't get the right answer, and you also don't get perjury.
Oh, yeah, but that was before college.
Before college. I thought you said you were 18 when you...
Yeah, but you can join when you're 17 with parental consent.
Okay, so you joined when you were 17?
Yes.
And how long did you serve in Vietnam?
10 months, 11 months.
As a marketing tool for his law firm, this attorney attracted high-asset clients by convincing them he was a war hero from the Vietnam War.
So you started your freshman year a little late?
Yes.
And so while you were in Vietnam, you had something like 30 kills?
No.
No. So you never said that?
Yes.
Yes, you said it, or yes, you did. You don't recall saying
Your
it.
question was, so you never said that? The answer is yes.
Did you have any kills?
I'm going to object this to relevance. You can answer the question, but we're not going to spend a lot of time on this.
I'll decide whether we do or not, Mr. McLeod. I'm testing the witness's credibility. I'm entitled to spend a lot of time on that.
Credibility of a witness is evidence, and it affects how a jury or a judge is going to rule in a legal outcome. But out on the street, the credibility of somebody who's on camera is up to the court of public opinion. And when this Silicon Valley attorney gave this answer, he wasn't talking about the Vietnam War. He was more likely than not talking about his legal career representing children and involved in private judging related to court appointments with the lawyers and judges who found him credible.
I was responsible for the death of enough people to assure my place in hell.
And while that answer may have been intended to appear that it was answering in relation to the war, this answer was probably more likely related to his work as a Silicon Valley divorce attorney, and the answer he gave next is more likely than not perjury, because a deposition taken under oath is the same as giving testimony in court.
Basic training, when you finished jump school, and how much time you spent in Vietnam. It's not a difficult question.
May, 8 weeks basic, jump school, Vietnam, release in early October of '68.
The attorney-client giving the deposition knew to get this information on the record because this was the perjury. He actually claimed that he was in Vietnam doing training before that, and he was released in 1968. So we went to his high school and got the superintendent to tell us that he had in fact graduated in June of 1968, which makes his answer impossible, deceitful, and an outright lie under oath.
I can even call you an asshole in public, and nobody can do anything about it.
Public court judges are responsible for disciplining attorneys and police officers who lie in court. That discipline means referring them to law enforcement, typically the district attorney, because that's a crime that the district attorney prosecutes. But we find more often than not, when district attorneys are close to the elections of the other attorneys, they don't enforce the laws on lawyers and judges and police officers the way they do on the rest of us.
That ruling was very wrong. How could you kick somebody out of their house like that? Go eat a bag of dicks.
Both public court judges and private judges are subject to the same rules and laws as the rest of us. The difference is public court judges are elected to the bench and private court judges are put on the bench and privately paid by attorneys.
And half a day. My name is Judge Johnny Cepeda GoGo, and I am a judge here in Santa Clara County Superior Court.
In California, voters elect judges to the bench, or the governor that voters elect appoint judges to the bench. And we still don't have cameras in courtrooms where we invented the technology to put cameras in the courtrooms in the first place. And one reason is the judges fight it. They resist it because they know cameras like body cams might show how they're doing their job.
How the girl ended up in handcuffs and a jail uniform.
And for whatever reason, your fragile ego was bruised because this young lady kept falling asleep in the courtroom. So you decided to threaten her with handcuffs and jail clothes? Man, everybody involved in this situation needs to be disciplined. The judge, the officers who went along with this nonsense, all of y'all need to be disciplined in some way, shape, or form.
And it was only because there were cameras in the courtroom that the public and the media were able to see that when a young girl came to this judge's courtroom to learn about the courts, he had her handcuffed and put in a jail jumpsuit and was about to have her put in jail because she fell asleep in his courtroom. And she did so because she is unhoused and was tired. And every day judges break the law and disrespect people who come in their courtrooms, but there rarely are cameras watching.
A field trip to the courthouse, sleeping in his court, and decided to put her in jail clothes and handcuff her. Yes, this is insane.
The judge felt compelled to teach her a lesson.
And just as we teach everybody to record police, we record attorneys, especially attorneys acting as private judges, because they're the worst of all when it comes to cameras in their big fancy office buildings that they call courthouses. And these are just attorneys being paid to be judges. They're being paid far more money than public court judges, and they're working to get a stream of business all the time from big lawyers and big law and public court judges who bring them the business. And once the business gets there, then these private judges cover up these public court proceedings and restrict cameras from recording what the law says we have a right to have the public see.
Well, I'm actually preparing to sign an agreement.
And just as public court judges are elected to the bench by voters, private judges are elected to their bench by attorneys and their clients who pay them directly. And nobody should ever sign a private judge agreement that doesn't allow full recording of the proceedings. The law says the public has a right to attend these proceedings, and a private judge would have no reason to keep cameras out of those courtrooms. And yet, they do it every single day, and they do it in the name of the business of private judging.
So we do not offer like public hearings. What we could do is get you in contact with one of the our neutrals case managers.
The big lie of private judging is that they're private and confidential proceedings. They're not. They're public proceedings that are presided over by a paid attorney who is playing judge. And nobody should ever sign any private judge agreement, ever, 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 unless there's a full transparency clause that says all the proceedings will be recorded, whether they're in person or remote.
Yeah. We have a lot of neutrals, and they each have different specializations. So the neutral that would get assigned to you would your case manager come up with.
And the scheme of private judging involves assigning neutrals. They use the word neutrals for private judges, arbitrators, and mediators to make people believe that they're going to be neutral. But the fact that they can assign whoever they want is case rigging, because you're going to pay these private attorneys to act as judges, and you don't have any say in who does it or how they do their job.
Essentially the people in charge of this particular building.